Welcome to the WangHiro podcast, where we answer Malaysians' burning questions about personal finance with fact-based answers.
Your salary is one of the easiest ways for you to increase your active income. While most people know it's one of the things they need to do, they might not know how to do it. Welcome back to WangHiro Personal Finance. In today's episode, we talk about salary negotiation, when to do it, and how to do it so you can get what you want. So John, your last draw with Shell was about 50K a month, or a little
Gross.
over half
Yeah.
a million a year, and you were just 34 years old. That's a pretty high salary by most standards, right? So did you have to negotiate to get there?
I would say yes and no. And I have to clarify it's gross because we pay a lot of taxes, LuWee.
Even then, like it's still high by any standards, I feel.
Yeah. So I think your question about did I have to negotiate, yes and no, because there were parts in my early days where you just have to follow the structure. There's already a very clear the thing about large MNCs. There's always like a pay scale. They set all this, so people usually hide behind it. So even if you want to negotiate, they'll just say, "Oh no, this based on this salary structure." It's like government civil service lah. You know, you got DG42, DG44, DG52.
Universities are the same, I think. Like they have
same.
scales. You know, like if you're not there yet because you lack some qualification, I'm sorry, you haven't made the mark. Yeah,
you haven't made the mark, and then the mark is actually very subjective, and yet the scale itself is very rigid. And then the best part is this. So my question is, and no pun intended to good HR people there, then why do you need HR? If it's so rigid and everything, why do you need HR for?
Just to check and balance, or just to make sure your papers are in, that kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah.
The bureaucracy.
Yeah. So in the earlier part, when I was recruited, I think I entered through this thing called the Shell Recruitment Day, which is what I heard lah. I don't know if it's true until today. One of the hardest ways to get in. Because apparently, this is what I was told when I got hired. Roughly 27,000 people will apply, and roughly only like 100 people will get into the program.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were three rounds that you get accepted into what we call the Shell pool. That means the downstream business, everyone, the downstream business can take you, upstream business can take you, or whatever. But I was lucky in a sense that the upstream business saw my profile first, asked me to go and see the managers in Miri. So they paid for everything. I flew to Miri, met all the managers, and I had a choice of which department I want to go in. Wow, I was lucky. Nice. So in the past, some of my friends were also going through the graduate program. They were chunked into whatever department that had availability. So depends on luck lah. I mean,
a lot of my friends were like that too. They were like literally just put into departments that they felt were most fitting lah, or maybe like the staff.
Yeah. So I was either lucky or either, I don't know, maybe there was something during my interview that allowed me that kind of opportunity. And early years, not much negotiation one. First 3 years, you just go through the grind, and I was lucky in projects. I got to travel. I got to but here's the tough part about projects. You get into projects, you expected sink or swim. You have to learn fast. Your learning curve is super steep. I mean, like if you don't catch it, like people were very easy. Everyone's busy. People will chuck you aside.
Yeah.
If you're not learning fast enough and you're not delivering and you're not taking up responsibility, accountability, you'll be chucked aside. Because the project managers have no time to play around, you get what I mean? They have something to deliver.
It's like much more work for them to look after you, right? Versus like you looking after yourself.
Correct. So, but as I progress on, probably my 5th year, 6th year, when project finished and I was moving on to another role, and you have to deepen your technical competency and you have to negotiate. What path you want to go for after your 3rd or 4th year. That's where a lot of things happen, because a lot more negotiation happen, because you have to say, hey, do you want to deepen a technical path, or do you want to more broaden into a more project path? And that actually also determines your salary in somewhat lah. Because if you deepen a technical path, it's more years that you go specialize. But at the same time, because of that, your salary scale is bounded by quite a linear path. That means you deepen technically, and then you become like a skillful lead, whatever lah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, in most MNC companies, I think that's the structure. And then at the end of the year, there's a yearly appraisal. And then you also have this thing called in Shell, we call it IDP, Individual Development Plan. You actually write up your plan. You want to go technical path, you want to go general path, what are the skill sets you want to develop, or you have to figure out yourself, which is good in a way. What about you? What about yourself, LuWee?
Oh yeah, I think we differ in our experience as an engineer, because I work for a contract company instead, like a vendor to these MNC companies, and it was an intentional choice on my part, because I learned this thing from I think if anyone's watching Netflix, Ramit Sethi, right? So you wanna, before you get the job, you ask around your seniors, what's the development like, what's the job like, and from what I gathered from my seniors was that you don't really learn that much as a graduate engineer in MNCs. That's what they told me, and then they're like, actually, if I were to start over, I would just like go to a contract company, and that's what I did lah. I did that. I went in there, and then the pay was very low actually. The pay was very, very low, like only 2K gross, like your 50K gross, right? Versus a 2K gross.
But that's after 10 years, LuWee. So you're starting.
Well, but you know,
not so far, quite same. Quite
oh,
similar.
starting pay also about, okay.
Shell 2750.
Oh.
2750, but you have the allowances that probably brings it up to about 4, close to 4 gross.
Oh, okay. Then it's about the same lah. Yeah.
It's about the same. It's about the same.
About the same. So back then, like 2K, and then like, don't say I had some senior engineers working there, 3,008 after 8 years. Okay. So I was kind of horrified. I was like, wow, I mean, I can't go with this. Like, it was like kind of like you went from, so he told me his starting pay was 1,006. Every year increased by about 5 to 10%, depending on the year. So that's how you get to only 3,006, 3,008. Yeah, and then it's like, oh, okay, actually it's okay for him whatsoever. I'm like, wow, based on this trajectory, I can't get my goals. So I started to learn a bit about salary negotiation. In a smaller company, you can still do that somewhat, because the bosses, you can get to your boss, right?
Yes.
The one who actually runs the company, I can do some negotiations there. So what I did was like, I actually learned from Ramit Sethi's briefcase technique. You can Google this. I think it's still there. It's very effective. So what you need to do is like create this whole business plan about like what you can deliver in 6 months, what you can deliver in 12 years, what's the value of that, and present it to your boss. And this is what I did. And then I actually got like a huge jump, like from 2,000 to 3,005. And then after that, 1 year later, I did another round, and then it went up to 4,005, the base rate. Yeah. So it just went up within those couple of years. So I think that happened within like two negotiations. So could go from, so anyone who didn't negotiate, right? I even had seniors who got paid much, like that guy lah. So my senior 8 years, 3,008, lower salary than me because he never negotiated.
And I think you pointed out a very good point, LuWee, is that you were clear on what brought value to your boss. That's why why you could negotiate. And I think to the audience out there, a lot of times people just run through the mill and complain that they don't get salary or you cannot negotiate. It's because you yourself are unclear what is valuable to the business. Yeah. What are the stakes on the table? Because if you don't know value, actually, then John says, then a lot of people say, hey, John, you just give me this concept. Okay, I give you a hint of how to conceptualize this or to apply this. Ask your boss, what's the problem he hates or finds tough solving? If he finds this problem the biggest headache and you solve it for him, imagine the bargaining power you have.
That's true. True. I kind of forgot the details of it, but that's exactly what I did. Yeah. I actually did like several rounds of talking to like different head of departments, different bosses, senior engineers to find out what issues were there. I can't reveal them here because it's all NDA stuff, but you want to go through that kind of process and then like find out that there's a good way. And then like also not just find out, like come up with a plan and actually execute on the plan.
Yes.
So like the first year that I did the negotiation, I got the 3.5, and then like because I executed, right, then I could come back and say, you see, I have done these things.
Delivered.
I have delivered this thing. And in between, I even negotiated for me to go to Singapore to attend the course for about 10K Singapore dollars. Yeah. So it costs like the company about 12, 14K. Usually they don't do that for small companies, but like because I packed it in such a way that it would benefit, and it did. And I felt I truly believed that it would benefit the company because by doing that, it will certify the company for that specific skill. So when I did that, it actually improved this whole process that what we were doing. Technical things is very technical thing.
Yeah, that's right. What gets interesting is, I think now pivoting for those listeners out there still employed, I think you follow these ground rules. Talk to people who has problems. A lot of times people don't want to listen to problems, but actually for you to define value, talk to people who will tell you even clearer problem, or even bigger the problem, even better. Okay. Now, when we pivoted, I'll start with you first. When we pivoted into business, how do you negotiate your gigs or your freelance, and maybe share a high level concept, and maybe if you can share an example, even better.
Yeah, sure. I think I was already doing a little bit of side hustle, so I was like working, and one of it was like writing. Actually, writing, in Malaysia, writers don't get paid too much, right? So I just felt like I didn't want to be a writer that get paid little. So what I did was I was finding out what was the best paid one out there, and then I found out that actually research papers get paid a lot. But when I first went into one of those gigs, right, where I was potentially hired, they're like, oh, can you do this for 100 ringgit? I told him, actually I would do it in a different way, and I will actually pack in some things that others may not, and that will reduce your time, the time that you require to do it. And I charge him 5 times that. 500.
Nice.
Yeah. So this was also a technique I learned from Amit Sethi from his Earn 1K course. So you wanna think about what would feel great for the person, right? So for the person I was working for, he was this head of department of a plantation company.
I see.
And he wanted me to do the research to complement his PhD report. And I thought about, wow, he's such a busy guy, right? So I'm like, okay, this I will do for you. I'll pack it in for you. You don't have to do that part, but I'll charge you a little bit more. That will save you a lot of time, maybe 20 hours of work. I'll do it a bit better then. I'll also put in the citations, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I negotiated, so then I got 5x more. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Like value. Yeah.
Nice.
How about you, John? You went from Shell, and then I remember that you were selling insurance for a bit, like moonlighting, and then after that, some other gigs.
Actually, I completely forgot about the moonlighting insurance thing.
Too long, right?
Actually, it was life-changing experience, LuWee, because that actually gave me also the philosophy of how I position myself when I became an entrepreneur. I'll share with you why. A lot of times when you approach a customer, especially about insurance, they ask you, they're very afraid because they have this preconceived notion that the insurance agents are out there to scam them, the planners are out there to scam them, right? But actually, they forgot the word planner rather than agent. So I never like to call myself an agent. An agent means I'm just selling vegetable and just race to the bottom. What's the price, right? But as a planner, what you do, you ask questions. And I never talk about which company I represent. I never talk about what product I'm going to sell. I just ask them, what's your problem? And if they don't know the problem, I educate by asking them questions to make them realize what's the problem. And then after I ask, right, then they say, oh yeah, I never thought of it this way. Oh yeah, I never thought of this way. Now, would you like to hear the solution? So once that happens, right, LuWee, I'm going to concise it. Once that happens, what happens is, on average, most insurance agents get paid, the case size is actually about 2,004. So 2,004 means 200 ringgit a month. That's the most basic. My average case size was 4,000 to 6,000 ringgit. Why? Is because a lot of the problems that the clients or the prospects before I got them to be clients didn't even realize. So by me asking questions, then they realize the problem. Then they say, oh yeah, I have to solve this. I have to solve this. This is a bigger problem than the problem that I wanted to buy my medical card or whatever, right? And that same philosophy, if you bring it into, like, for example, I've negotiated consulting gigs. I negotiated even like a paid or sponsored video. I think the one that I really liked was something we did for a listed company. And they were initially saying that, hey, I can pay a corporate video guy to do this. Yeah, but does the corporate video guy actually have a host to ask you intelligent questions? What's the story are you trying to tell you? What's the branding value? So it's a longer thing. And I also have to thank the IR company that believed in us, because they saw the quality of the content we were doing for free. And they saw that, hey, if we like pay a video producer, we get a better camera and all that kind of thing, what kind of quality will come out. And they were very happy with it. Until today, I'm still friends with their directors actually of the company. Because if they believe that I scam them or fleece them for this, no way they're gonna talk to me, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So again, find out the problems, what they want, ask questions, ask intelligent questions, and really think on behalf of your clients. And that's where you can. You see, a lot of times we always think, how do I? The funniest thing, LuWee, I share this with you. Every time I attend insurance training, right? A lot of the new agents, they said, hey, I want to learn how to close big cases. I want to learn how to secure that big. I said, brother, what are the skill sets you have first? You cannot close big cases if you yourself don't have the skill sets to understand the gravity of the problem you're trying to solve for your clients, you see? So,
I think that's definitely a shift that needs to happen. A lot of times, because like especially once we just come out from school, and by not even talking, right? We're just given things, right, based on whatever we achieve, right? Like, okay, if I study hard, I write a piece of paper, my teacher marks it, immediately I'm this scholar.
Yes.
Oh, we're used to that kind of thing. We are not used to negotiating things like suddenly like, oh, if I get 80, I feel like I'm a 90. I go in and ask for it. Actually, I actually did that before, because I learned it from another actually now he's very famous, Carl Newport. So he used to say that you can negotiate everything, and I did try to negotiate my grades at one point, but it annoyed the teachers, so I stopped. So we're used to kind of like that passive perspective, right? Okay, we do this quietly, and Asians, right? We don't want to talk about our achievements, don't want to
don't rock the boat, don't try to stand out, don't like
try So you're not used to selling it, and sometimes why we start talking about ourselves, because that's the easiest, most comfortable perspective. Oh, I know me, I'm this, I'm good, right? But we kind of have to start shifting that perspective towards like, oh, how about you? Can you tell me about your problems? Which brings us to the next section, which is for anyone who's out there who's listening to this, like, okay, great, John, LuWee, great, like you get to do this for yourselves. How about me? How do I even get started? I'm in this position, I'm just sitting here, my salary is so low, I know I can do better. I know I'm doing so much for this company, but how can I start? What's the first step I can take?
If you are from an employee's perspective, I think go look around the ecosystem. So you may be doing a lot of, okay, I'm going to borrow Jim Rohn's, who is one of my favorite motivators. He said, a lot of people major in minor things.
That's I so love sad, that. Though.
I know it's so sad. Yeah, it's so sad. It hit me like a ton of bricks, because then I realized that, how do I know whether I'm majoring in a minor thing or a major thing? So why is this related to the advice? Is that look around the ecosystem. You may be working very hard, but I give you an example. An events management company, if your skill is stacking chairs or putting up tables, okay? I mean, extreme example, you're working really hard, a lot of hours, right?
Okay.
But does it bring value to the company or not?
That's true. That's true.
Versus that of an MC, and an MC comes in, entertains the crowd, he ha, or a supervisor and organizer, a strategic planner of the events company, or he pitches to bring in business, whatever, right? I used to hate salespeople, LuWee, to be honest, and say, why do salespeople get paid so much comparatively to the technical people who had to deepen the technical skill set and do all this operational execution work? Then I did sales myself. Then I realized, oh, that's the difference. The value you bring, right? So to the employee, find out, are you majoring in minor things or not? If you're not, then you said, hey, what's the benchmark to be paid? But if you are, then you better change your skill set. But if you're not, then look at it. How much are you being paid? And then they said, hey, boss, I think these are the kind of man hour rates that other people are paying, and I've delivered this for you. Can we look at a negotiation for a pay rise? Now a lot of times we're afraid, oh, but why am I going to lose my job, whatever. Here comes your confidence. Your confidence comes when you have searched around the ecosystem, the environment, and you realize, wow, this skill is really in demand. Even if I lose my job here, I can move on to another one. So you have something lined up ready. A lot of people don't go in. It's because they don't go prepared. They don't have something prepared. You get me? They haven't even scouted out the ecosystem, don't even know the environment, don't even know the pay rate. Of course you're scared lah, because if that's the only thing you're looking up to, of course you're scared. But when you open up, then you realize the world is big. The world is your oyster, and you've got options. And when you've got options, that's why you say, hey boss, I think I like working with you, I like the culture, whatever, but this is the rate that other people are being paid, and this is what I've delivered to you. Can we look at this?
Yeah, and to add to that, I think even like getting offers on the table just to show would be helpful. I think based on my colleagues at that time, I think from other departments, she was like, oh, I actually got a pay raise because I got offer from Petronas, and so the company then matched the rate. Right, so that kind of thing is also possible. Yeah, I mean, very, very good points. I think I've used everything there to negotiate my salary as well. So I think in any case, we want to just step out of our comfort zones and then just explore it. Be comfortable with speaking to people that maybe be like feeling, maybe you feel are out of your range, right? So I think that's something I also like picked up over the years. It's like, okay, be comfortable. Even if you're entry level, go speak to the CEO.
Correct.
Yeah, actually, like even when I was just working as a small contract engineer for the small vendor, I actually like booked an appointment with the CEO of Shell at that time, and actually came out to meet me.
Wow.
So you actually like have to get to that point where you're okay to do that. You're okay to book these appointments. How to find that value between you and them, so they're happy to share this with you. And actually, a lot of them have a lot of good advice for young people.
Yeah. I think let's wrap it up, because I think we have given a lot of insights that is more important now, how these guys, how the audience, how you apply it.
Right. So hopefully those out there who are still thinking about raising your income somehow has found some of the tips we gave useful. Of course, if you have more questions about how to do like your salary negotiation, leave them in the comments below. Or if you have some successful case studies of how you've done your salary negotiation, gotten what you want, especially in terms of the pay rate and package, share your story in the comment section below too. And as usual, if you've enjoyed this video or have found it useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It will really help us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want more content about salary negotiation, career, and other personal finance related stuff, make sure to subscribe to WangHiro. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.